Everyone talks about Barcelona and Madrid, but Malaga? Malaga is the one that catches you completely off guard. You get ancient Moorish fortresses, world-class art, beaches with actual good seafood, and one of the most dramatic day trips in all of Spain, all packed into a city that most people only know as a layover. In this video, we're covering 25 best things to do in Malaga and the insider tips that'll make the difference between a good trip and one you genuinely never forget. Number 3 on this list is something most visitors don't even know exists. Don't skip it. One, Centro Histórico. Every great trip to Malaga starts the same way, just walking. The historic center is entirely on foot, and that's a good thing, because the streets here reward wandering without a plan. Palm-lined boulevards open into lively plazas, narrow lanes hide bars that have been there for decades, and every corner reveals something. A Moorish archway, a tiled-covered fountain, a terrace with locals finishing a second glass of wine at noon without a care in the world. The big squares to know are Plaza de la Constitución and Plaza de la Merced, and the streets between them are where most of the best eating, drinking, and people-watching happens. It's completely free to explore, and this is genuinely one of the most pleasant city centers in Andalucía to just get lost in. Insider tip. Join a walking tour on your first day that includes the cathedral, Alcazaba, and Roman theater. It gives you the historical context that makes everything else in the city make sense. Tours typically run around $35 to $55 US, 32 to 50 euro per person. 2. Wine and tapas food tour. If you only book one thing in Malaga, make it a food tour, and specifically an evening one. Malaga's food scene goes so much deeper than most visitors realize, and a good local guide will take you to the kind of bars with no signage, no tourist menus, and no prices in English that you'd walk straight past alone. The classic Malagueño experience is a glass of local sweet wine poured straight from a barrel at a bodega like the legendary Antigua Casa de Guardia, which has been doing exactly that since 1840. Then there's espetos, sardines skewered on canes and grilled directly over wood fires right on the beach, and fried fish done in the Andalusian way that bears almost no resemblance to anything you've had elsewhere. A good evening wine and tapas tour runs around 65 to 85 US, 59 to 77 euro per person, with everything included. Insider tip. The Spain Food Sherpas evening tour is consistently rated as one of the best food experiences in the city. Book it for your second evening. One day of independent wandering first makes the context your guide gives you land much better. 3. Caminito del Rey. This is one that changes the whole trip. About an hour outside Malaga, the Caminito del Rey is a narrow wooden walkway bolted directly into the face of sheer limestone cliffs, 100 meters high above a turquoise river running through one of the most dramatic gorges in Spain. It used to be known as the most dangerous path in the world, originally built for hydroelectric workers at the start of the 20th century and left to crumble for decades while daredevils kept sneaking in anyway, often fatally. It was fully restored and reopened in 2015, and what's there now is safe, spectacular, and one of the most genuinely breathtaking experiences in all of Andalucía. Self-guided entry costs just $11 US, 10 euro, and a guided tour from Malaga, including transport, runs around $67 to $88, 60 to 80 euro. One massive heads up, tickets sell out weeks in advance in spring and summer. Don't leave this one for the last minute. Insider tip. Book a guided tour from Malaga. It handles the transport, the ticket, and a genuinely knowledgeable guide, removing every logistical headache at once. And in 2026, there's a brand new 110-meter suspension bridge on the route, the longest of its kind in Spain. Go soon before everyone finds out about it. 4. Alcazaba. Malaga's Alcazaba is one of the best preserved Moorish fortresses in Spain, and the fact that most visitors walk straight past it on their way to the beach is genuinely criminal. Built in the 11th century on the foundations of a Roman citadel, It rises in terraces up the hillside above the city. Defensive walls, horseshoe arches, gardens planted with orange trees and bougainvillea, and inner palaces with the kind of intricate tile work and carved stucco that makes you stop and stare at a ceiling for 5 minutes. The views over Malaga's port and old town from the upper terraces are among the best you'll get anywhere in the city. Entry costs $4 €3.50, or $6 €5.50 for the combined ticket that includes Gibralfaro Castle above. Free every Sunday from 2 p.m. onward. Insider tip: buy the combined Alcazaba and Gibralfaro ticket. It saves money, and the two sites together give you a complete picture of Malaga's layered history. Allow 2 to 3 hours for both, and bring water for the climb between them. 5. Gibralfaro Castle. Right above the Alcazaba, connected by a walled path called La Coracha, Gibralfaro Castle sits at the top of a hill overlooking the entire city. Built in the 14th century to protect and reinforce the Alcazaba below, it's one of the most strategically positioned fortresses in Andalucía. And the panoramic view from the ramparts proves exactly why this spot was chosen. From up here, you can see the Bull Ring, the port, the Mediterranean stretching out onto the horizon, and on a clear day, the mountains of North Africa in the distance. The climb is steep and exposed, so go early or after 5 p.m. in the summer. Entry is $4 €3.50, standalone, or included with the combined ticket with the Alcazaba. Insider tip: the views from Gibralfaro are even better than from the Alcazaba. Wider, higher, and less crowded. If you have only time for one, go here. If you have time for both, do the Alcazaba first and walk up to Gibralfaro from there. 6. Roman Theater. At the base of the Alcazaba, you'll find something that stops people in their tracks because nobody seems to expect it. A 1st century Roman theater, sitting in the open air, completely free to visit, right in the middle of the city. It was built during the reign of Augustus, buried for centuries and only rediscovered in the 1950s when workers were constructing a building on top of it. The theater is remarkably well preserved. The tiered stone seating, the orchestra pit, the stage foundations, and the backdrop of the Alcazaba walls rising directly behind it makes it one of the most photographically extraordinary spots in Malaga. The Modern Interpretation Center beside it has a good overview of the site's history and is also free. Insider tip: the best time to photograph the Roman theater is in the late afternoon when the low sun lights up the stone seating and the Alcazaba walls turn gold behind it. Allow 20 to 30 minutes and combine it with the Alcazaba visit right above. 7. Malagueta Beach. Malaga is a proper coastal city, and a beach day here is a completely different experience from a typical resort beach. Malagueta is a main beach, wide, sandy, and a short walk from the historic center, with a long promenade lined with chiringuitos, the traditional beach bars that are unique to this part of Spain. Order a ración of espetos, the wood-fired grilled sardines Malaga's famous for, a cold beer, and a plate of pescadito frito, fried fish done the Andalusian way, and eat it with your feet basically on the sand. The beach itself is free, and a decent seafood lunch with a chiringuito will run you around $18 to $28, 16 to €25 per person. Insider tip: espetos are Malaga's signature dish, and you have to try them here at the beach, cooked over a wood fire. They're available all along the Malagueta promenade, but the chiringuitos east of the main beach tend to be the better quality and less touristy than the ones right in the front of the city. 8. Malaga Cathedral. Malaga Cathedral is one of the most interesting cathedrals in Spain, not because it's the most spectacular, though the interior is genuinely beautiful, but because of its famous unfinished story. Construction began in the 16th century, and one of the 2 towers was never completed, either because the funds ran out or, according to a popular legend, because the money was donated to the American Revolution. Either way, locals have affectionately nicknamed it La Manquita, the one-armed lady. Inside, the Renaissance and Baroque interior is magnificent. Ornate chapels, carved choir stalls, and a soaring nave that feels both grand and intimate. Entry costs around $11 €10, and includes access to the rooftop, which gives you a completely different view of the city and the Alcazaba. Bishop's Square outside is one of the loveliest spots in Malaga to sit with a coffee. Insider tip: pay for rooftop access. It's one of the most underrated views in the city. You'll look straight across at the Alcazaba from a level you can't reach any other way, and it's rarely crowded up there. 9. Picasso Museum, Malaga. Pablo Picasso was born in Malaga in 1881, and the city's never quite gotten over it. The Picasso Museum here is housed in a beautiful 16th century Andalusian palace, the Palacio de Buenavista, and the collection has a quality that sets it apart from most Picasso exhibits. These are works from the artist's own family collection, donated by his daughter-in-law and grandson, which means you're seeing pieces that the people who actually knew him lived with. Over 200 works span every period of his output: Blue Period, Cubism, Neoclassicalism, Surrealism, Ceramics, in roughly chronological order that tells the story of how the most influential artist of the 20th century developed his craft. General admission is $14 €13, free for under 17s, and free every Sunday during the last 2 hours of opening. Insider tip: book tickets online well in advance. The museum has limited daily capacity and regularly sells out in peak season. Also worth stopping at the Casa Natal nearby on Plaza de la Merced, Picasso's actual birthplace, which is a separate museum with a more personal feel for around $3 €3. 10. Atarazanas Market. Atarazanas Market is Malaga's main daily market, and it's one of those places that earns its reputation on the building alone before you've even seen a single stall. The facade is anchored by a stunning 14th century Moorish arch that was once the gateway to the city's medieval shipyard, now framing an interior filled with stained glass panels that flood the market floor with colored light. Inside, 300 stalls sell fresh produce, seafood caught that morning, jamón iberico, cheeses, olives, and enough other things to make you want to buy just a baguette and start assembling a picnic on the spot. Entrance is completely free, and this is one of the best places in Malaga to experience ordinary life in the city at its most vibrant. Insider tip: go between 9 and 11 a.m. when the market is in full swing and the produce is freshest. By 2 p.m., most stalls close up for the day, and don't leave without trying the fresh squeezed orange juice. Malaga's local oranges are exceptional. 11. Calle Larios. Calle Larios is Malaga's main promenade, a wide, marble-paved boulevard lined with elegant 19th century buildings, outdoor terraces, and shops that runs from the port straight up into the heart of the city. Named after the wealthy Larios family who financed its construction in 1891, it's the kind of street that was built to be shown off, and it still holds that quality. Walking it in the early evening when the city starts to fill up is one of those simple pleasures that costs nothing and feels exactly right. During festivals on holidays, it gets spectacular decorations that transform the whole street, particularly around Semana Santa in spring and the Christmas lights in December, when it becomes one of the most photographed streets in Spain. 12. Muelle Uno. Muelle Uno is Malaga's modern waterfront promenade, built along the old port and transformed into one of the best seafront walks in Andalucía. The architectural centerpiece is a dramatic white-shaded walkway that runs along the water, lined with restaurants, bars, and shops, with the Alcazaba and the cathedral visible in the distance behind you, and the open-air Mediterranean ahead. It's a great place to spend an evening, grab a table at one of the waterfront restaurants, watch the last light go over the city, and appreciate why so many people who come to Malaga for a weekend end up booking a longer stay. Completely free to walk with drinks and food at whatever your budget allows. Insider tip: walk to the far end of Muelle Uno toward La Farola Lighthouse at sunset for one of the best free viewpoints in the city. The combination of the lighthouse, the port, and the silhouette of the Alcazaba and Gibralfaro behind you makes for a genuinely spectacular photograph. 13. Centre Pompidou, Malaga. This is one that consistently surprises people who don't know Malaga had a Pompidou. Located right at the port next to Muelle Uno, the Centre Pompidou Malaga is a genuine satellite of the famous Paris institution. Not a replica or a tribute, but an actual extension with works from the Pompidou's permanent collection rotating through the galleries. The building itself is unmissable, a transparent cube with colored glass panels that changes completely depending on the light and the time of day. Inside, the contemporary and modern art collection includes major 20th and 21st century works that you'd expect to pay significantly more to see elsewhere. Entry runs around $10 9 euro for the permanent collection, with free entry every Friday evening from 4 to 8 p.m. Insider tip. The free Friday evening is genuinely good. The museum's open late, it's less crowded than the daytime, and the colored cube looks extraordinary lit up against the darkening sky. A perfect pre-dinner stop if you're eating on the waterfront. 14. La Farola de Malaga. Most people walk right past it, but La Farola, the lighthouse at the end of the port, is one of the best free viewpoints in Malaga. It's been standing here since 1817, still active, and the walk out of it along the port wall gives you a perspective of the city that you simply can't get from anywhere on land. From out here, the whole sweep of Malaga opens up behind you. The cathedral, the Alcazaba, and Gibralfaro rising in the hillside, the old town, and the mountains beyond. At sunset, the whole city seems to glow in the warm Andalusian light. Completely free, takes about 20 minutes, and is worth doing on your first evening to get your bearings. 15. Malaga Museum and Carmen Thyssen Museum. If Barcelona has the Picasso Museum and Madrid has Prado, Malaga has quietly built one of the most impressive mid-sized museum scenes in Spain, and two of the best are right in the historic center. The Malaga Museum in the Grand Palacio de la Aduana combines archaeology and fine arts in one space with Roman artifacts, Islamic objects, and major Spanish paintings under one roof. Entry is free for EU citizens and around $2 2 euro for others. The Carmen Thyssen Museum is housed in a beautiful 16th century palace and focuses on Andalusian art spanning the 19th and early 20th centuries. The collection is stunning, and entry runs around $9 8 euro, free on Sundays. Insider tip. The Carmen Thyssen Museum is genuinely excellent and massively undervisited by tourists focused on the Picasso. Give it 2 hours on a hot afternoon, and you'll come out with a completely different understanding of what Andalusian art looks like. 16. Cooking class. Malaga's cuisine is one of the most distinctive in Spain, anchored by seafood, Moorish spice influences, and techniques that have barely changed in centuries. And taking a cooking class here is a completely different experience from a generic paella class. The Spanish food Sherpas cooking classes in Malaga cover local dishes like ajo blanco, a cold almond and garlic soup, espetos, and Andalusian-style fried fish, with a market visit included so you understand the ingredients before you cook them. The class ends with a meal paired with local wines, budget around $75 to $95, 68 to 86 euro per person for a full class with market visit, meal, and drinks. Insider tip. Book the class that starts with a visit to Atarazanas Market. Selecting your own ingredients with guidance from a local chef completely changes how engaged you are when you actually cook. It turns a cooking class into a full morning experience. 17. Plaza de la Merced. Plaza de la Merced is Malaga's most important square and one of those places that just has good energy any time of day. In the center stands a tall obelisk monument, and at one corner of the square sits a bronze statue of Picasso on a bench, right near the building where he was born in 1881. The square is surrounded by restaurants and cafes with outdoor terraces, and the whole vibe is relaxed and genuinely local. It's a natural gathering point, especially in the evenings when families and groups fill the outdoor tables and the energy of the city feels very much alive. And if you want to go a step further, the Casa Natal Picasso, his actual birthplace museum, is right on the square for around $3, €3 entry. Insider tip: sit on the bench next to the Picasso statue. Yes, it's a bit touristy, but the photo's genuinely fun, and it's one of those low-key moments that sticks in the memory. The cafe on the corner of the square is good for a morning coffee before the crowds arrive. 18. Bodega El Pimpi. There's no more iconic dining experience in Malaga than Bodega El Pimpi. And the fact that it's co-owned by Antonio Banderas, who is from Malaga, tells you something about the place's cultural status in the city. But set aside the celebrity connection, because the main reason to come here is the food, the wine, and the atmosphere. The bodega sprawls across a series of interconnected spaces decorated with old wine barrels, vintage bullfighting posters, and photographs going back decades. The local sweet wines served here, Malaga wines made from muscatel grapes, are some of the best you'll taste in the region, and the food is genuinely excellent. Fresh seafood, cured meats, and traditional Andalusian plates done properly. Budget around $25 to $40, $23 to €36 per person for food and wine. Insider tip: even if you don't sit down for a full meal, walk through El Pimpi. It connects two streets and functions almost as a landmark in itself, with each room having its own distinct atmosphere. The back terrace with the Alcazaba visible above is the best spot to aim for. 19. Casamita Ice Cream. Casamita has been making ice cream in Malaga since the 19th century, and it remains the best ice cream shop in the city by some distance. There are two locations, the main one in Calle Larios, which always has a queue, and a quieter one on Calle Xixter around the corner. The flavor to get is the House Malaga. Made with the region's sweet muscatel wine and plump raisins, it tastes like nothing else you've had on an ice cream cone, and is completely unique to the city. Take a number, wait your turn, and don't leave without trying it. Budget around $3 to $5, €3 to €4 per cone. Insider tip: go to the Calle Xixter location. Same quality, shorter queue, more relaxed experience. It's 5 minutes from the main one, and barely anybody knows about it. 20. Boat trip. Getting out onto the water is one of those experiences that completely reframes how you see Malaga. The coastline from the sea looks completely different. The Alcazaba and Gibralfaro Castle rising dramatically above the city, the port, the long beaches stretching east toward the mountains, catamaran cruises, sunset sails, and shorter sightseeing trips all depart from the port area near Muelle Uno throughout the day. In summer, the heat makes a sea breeze feel like the best thing in the world. A standard boat trip runs around $20 to $35, 18 to €32 per person depending on duration. A sunset catamaran with drinks runs closer to $44, €40. Insider tip: the sunset catamaran is worth the premium. Timing it so you're on the water as the sun drops behind the mountains with a cold drink in your hand is a genuinely perfect Malaga evening. Book a day or two ahead in summer when slots fill quickly. 21. Day trip to Nerja, Ronda, or Marbella. Malaga's location is one of its greatest assets. Within an hour or so in any direction, you have some of the most spectacular destinations in Andalucía. Nerja is the crowd favorite, a whitewashed village perched above dramatic coves and turquoise water, with the famous Balcón de Europa viewpoint and some of the best beaches on the Costa del Sol. Ronda is genuinely extraordinary, a hilltop city split in two by a 120-meter gorge with a famous bridge and a dramatic setting that feels almost cinematic. Marbella offers beautiful old town streets and the famous Puerto Banús if you want something more glamorous. Day trips by bus or guided tour run around $30 to $60, 27 to €54 depending on the destination and whether you go independently or join a tour. Insider tip: Nerja by bus is cheap and straightforward from Malaga's main bus station, about an hour each way and the cheapest option for a brilliant day trip. Ronda is better with a guided tour that gives you the history and context for what you're looking at. Either way, try to leave Malaga early and avoid peak midday heat. 22. Casa Aranda Churros. Casa Aranda has been serving churros and thick hot chocolate in Malaga since 1932, and on any given morning there are more locals here than tourists, which tells you everything about the quality. The churros come out of the fryer crisp on the outside and soft inside. The chocolate is so thick a spoon almost stands up in it, and the combination is one of those simple food experiences that somehow tastes better in a specific place than it does anywhere else. The small terrace outside fills up fast on weekend mornings. Budget around $4 to $6, €3 to €5 for a full serving with chocolate. Insider tip. Go on your first morning in Malaga. It's the perfect way to start the day and sets the right tone for the rest of the trip. Order extra chocolate for dipping. There's no version of this decision you'll regret. 23. Flamenco Show. Malaga sits in the heart of Andalucía, the birthplace of flamenco, and seeing it performed live here carries a weight and authenticity you simply don't get elsewhere. The raw stamping, the guitar, the cante hondo, the deep song that can sound almost like crying, these things hit differently in a small intimate venue where the performers are feet away. Teatro Flamenco Malaga is one of the better venues in the city, with shows that showcase the full range of the art form. Shows start at around $25 to $35, 23 to €32 per person depending on seating and whether drinks are included. Insider tip. Get seats as close to the stage as possible. Flamenco is a physical experience, and proximity is everything. The vibration of the stamps through the floor and the faces of the dancers up close is what makes it actually move you. This isn't a show you want to watch from the back row. 24. Hammam al-Andalus. Malaga was a Moorish city for nearly 800 years, and the hammam, the traditional Arab bathhouse, was one of the foundations of daily life. Hammam al-Andalus brings that tradition back in a beautifully restored setting in the heart of the historic center, with a series of pools at different temperatures, steam rooms, and candlelit vaulted spaces that feel genuinely removed from the noise of the city outside. You move from between hot, warm, and cool pools at your own pace, and optional massage treatments are available to add on. Entry starts at around $35, €32 for the baths alone, with massage packages running higher. Book in advance, slots fill up quickly, especially on weekends. Insider tip. Book the last session of the evening when the hammam is quieter and the candlelit atmosphere is at its most peaceful. It's the perfect way to end a long day of sightseeing and is genuinely one of the most restorative experiences you can have in Malaga. 25. Rooftop Bar Sundowner. We're ending where every good Malaga day should end, on a rooftop with a cold drink and a city spread out below you. Malaga has a brilliant rooftop bar scene, and the best options each have something specific going on for them. AC Palacio Hotel Malaga has one of the most dramatic setups, a rooftop pool bar with direct sight lines to the cathedral and Alcazaba as the evening light turns golden. The Alcazaba Premium Hotel rooftop sits almost in the shadow of the